I was a child that was raised in an environment where violence was normal. We have alcoholism, partying, and we have violence. There was a point where I had enough, and then I became aggressive. And so one morning I woke up, and from the neck down, I was completely paralyzed. Yep.
What would you say would have been the hardest aspect, personally?
The effect on my children. But the kid's dad decided to leave. And he said, yep, I'm going, and I'm not going to come back. And so I was left with the children to then explain to them, my dad wasn't coming back. One in 14 men have domestic violence.
1 in 14.
1 in 14. I am helping one person at a time heal and recover from forms of abuse and domestic violence.
Wow. Like you told us a little bit about the book, the first book, we put you on the middle of Times Square. You're a superstar.
It's a little bit
So you're now above Justin Bieber, I reckon.
There's no point healing a ton of women if we don't go, hey, what do the men need? What's missing for the men? We need healthy mums and we need healthy dads. Well, what is a rebuilt man? What does it mean to be a rebuilt man? There is a real cry in the men's heart to have safe places.
Can you explain that a bit further?
So the biggest thing that's come from my research is
how to create the life you want and leave a legacy you're proud of.
So
well, welcome to the Tomorrow's Not Today podcast. This one is definitely going to hit you hard. I can tell before we even started on here, Dawn, how this is going to be impacting in so many people. Let's introduce you a little bit first,
okay.
And what you're doing at the moment. And you're having a massive impact all over the world, which is fantastic. So tell us what you're doing to make the world a better place.
Oh, what am I doing? I am helping one person at a time heal and recover from forms of abuse and domestic violence. So whether that be a woman, a man, or a child, or a teenager, and anyone who's experienced violence and abuse, I help them rebuild themselves back to their original condition before trauma, because it's possible.
I love that. And so many people deal with that and think it's not possible.
That's right. They get stuck.
Yes.
They get stuck. Yep.
And that's one of the things that excites me about what we're going to be talking about today. It's not just that it's possible, which to a lot of people is going to be a revelation, but they can actually do it themselves and get there.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's it. If you can believe it's possible, it is possible. So it all comes down to belief. So I have a therapeutic background, a counseling background, and so I've helped thousands and thousands of people recover from forms of abuse and rebuild their lives. So I've seen it, I've witnessed it. It happened to me, it's happened to my children, and it's happened to many people that I've been fortunate enough to work with. So
I'm going to ask you a question. Normally I don't do this right now. We'll get down to the track a little bit, but we're going to get into a bit of your story at the moment and some other things that's happening as well. A question that I get posed to me regularly because of the podcast is, can everybody, and you've answered this already, get healed of their trauma? And two, what is the difference between people who do and those who don't?
Choice. Simple. I want to get well, as opposed to I don't think I'll ever get well. It's a completely different mindset shift. So it's a choice. If you want, it's not easy. Getting well is not easy. It can take years to get well, but it is 100% possible if you have the belief and the faith, one, in a supernatural God that will help us, but also two, you have a choice. If you choose to get well and you do the work, it is 100%. I've witnessed it over and over again. I can give you many stories.
I'm glad you said that, because I was asked this question on Friday night again, and I thought back to everybody on the podcast and other people I'd spoken with. And my answer was, it's a decision.
Yes.
And it's sometimes that can sound flippant.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what you've just said, and you will go into how to make that choice and how to make that happen as well, and what you've done and what you're doing to help a bunch of people. So I feel better now. I did give the right answer.
Yeah. And you're right. It does sound a little harsh, but it's one decision to say, I want to get well. That's it. I'm choosing to get well. Then comes the processing that happens from that, which is it can take 12 months. It can take 5 years. It depends on, what, it's not an instant, I want to be well, and you wake up in the morning and you're well. There is a journey that you must go on in order to do that, which is the hard bit.
And on from what you said, it's not a make a decision, yay.
Yeah.
It's a daily decision.
100%.
And sometimes that decision on certain days, you don't want to make that decision.
No, that's right. There are hard days, really hard days that, you might drop back into feeling depressed and hopeless, but it's like, no, I choose to believe that all is going to be well. Everything is going to be okay. That's the declaration I made over my life every day. Everything is going to be okay. And because I had great days and then I had really bad days.
I can't wait to get into this. Tell us a little bit, because you've got your book out, you've got another one coming, and we'll tip on this towards the end a little bit more as well. Yeah. Because people can get involved with this, which is exciting. Yeah. It's not just something out there. They can actually get involved, which is really cool. Tell us some of the things you were telling me the other day about what's happening with your books and opportunities you're getting because you made that brave decision daily for years, and what can happen from that.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so I went probably about a 7-year period of quite severe trauma and rebuilding after trauma. And we can go into the depths of that a little bit later. But as a result of working on myself and doing the work myself, and bringing the right people around me to help encourage and, having the right friends and networks, all that kind of stuff. It wasn't just me doing it. It was there's a team of people that are required. Always. And anyway, I had come towards the last bit of my sort of healing bit, and I had gone back to university to restudy. There's a whole nother story connected to that because I had been a business coach for about 20 years, working with really amazing women all over the world too, with their mindset and, encouraging them to think bigger and do bigger things. But once I'd gone through my trauma, I'd lost the desire to help those type of people. I wanted to go to people that needed me, because I'd now experienced the depths of what it's like to go through trauma. I actually felt that I really want to go and help those type of people. Not that I didn't still want to be part of working with entrepreneurs. I love business. But there was a part of me that just had something shifted inside of me. And I remember sitting on a wall in Melbourne in the middle of all of this and just said to God, I really want you to send me to people who need me because I get it now. I don't think I got it before because I'd had a good life, but I just remember, and there was a shift. And so I went back to university, redid all my bits and pieces and focused on counseling and psychotherapy and very moved towards working with people with trauma and CPTSD. And I've worked with schizophrenic people and bipolar and people with borderline personality disorder. So I went all the way to work with some really hard cases. And in the midst of when I went to university, I went and did a DV course. And in the middle of that course, it was almost like my story cracked open because that's what I had come out of. And I was compelled to tell my story on paper. So it just poured for 2 weeks. The only way I can describe it is like a surge of energy came over me, and I wrote and I wrote, and I could not stop. And so the words just fell out. It took 2 weeks, and I'd done 82 pages. I know. I know my fingers were very sore, but I people couldn't talk to me. Like my husband, I would just say, just feed me, just feed me. I'm sorry. I just got to do this. I got to do this. Wow. And anyway, so that's how the book started with, it got birthed through just a surge of, I got to tell this story. I went and got it edited. I went through 3 editors, which was a bit of a worry. I was like, okay, what's going on here? And then I decided I'm going to get it published. And I went to about 20 different publishers, secular, Christian, no. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe this was not supposed to be a book that I published. Maybe it was just my last part of my healing process, that I just released the story and it's all out on paper. And so I kind of shelved the book. And then a psychologist friend of mine kept asking me about the book. And I said, oh, no, I sort of just shelved it. I've reached out to 20 or more publishers and there's nothing. And she got cross with me in a good way, because she was a psychologist. She worked day in, day out with DV women and men were coming through abuse. And so she was like, Dawn, people need to hear your story. They need to read your story because you will give them hope. And I walked away from that coffee and I realized it's not about me. The story is not about me. It's about who could read that story, see themselves in those pages and go, well, if she can do it, then I can do it. And then that's how it got birthed. And so I went to one more publisher. I thought, I'll try this. So a publisher got recommended to me. I sent the book away. She calls me 2 weeks later, and she was an Irish girl, and she's like, we love the book. We love it. We love it. And I was like, oh, cool. This is great. Okay. And she said, we love it so much. She said, we want you to come to New York. And, wow. And I said, New York? She said, yeah, we want to launch your book in New York. She said, that's how much we love it. And she said, not only that, she said, I want to put you up on Times Square and we want to launch your book with you up in big screens in Times Square. And I thought she was joking, to be honest. And then sure enough, a month or so later, here I am on a flight to New York. And there I am up on the big screen next to, Hailey Bieber, David Beckham.
And you're in the middle.
And I'm in the middle. From the Gold Coast, Dawn from the Gold Coast. So yeah, and so that's how it got birthed. And then and then I went on a wild ride after that. That was
I so love that story. One of the reasons I started this podcast this way is because I want people to realize that no matter who you are, what's been done to you, or what you've done to anybody else, you can create the life you want and leave a legacy you're proud of. And that's exactly what you're doing. You've gone from successful career to passion and purpose.
Yes.
Leaving a legacy, making the world a better place.
Yes.
That to me is what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't mean having to leave a successful career, but purpose and calling got you. Oh, and in your situation, that was the case. It's not for everybody. But if we're willing to step out, have a go and just do it, it's a perfect example of what can happen.
Yep.
I talk a lot about just take a step, just do something. It doesn't need to be big and flashy. For some people, they'll be in Times Square. Yep. For some people, they'll just make a difference to a lot of people, and a lot of people won't even know the difference they're making.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's there when you live that way. Yeah. I love that so, so much. That's the epitome of this podcast.
Yeah,
right there.
That's it. Yeah, it was a miracle. Let's just say that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So now take me back, because obviously, and the funny thing is, what a lot of people don't get is, because we see all the highlights of people's lives on social media and the popular people and the famous people and all this sort of thing. But rarely do you actually get to see that 95% of those people have gone through life's ugly bits to actually get there.
Yep.
And the persistence that it takes. So take us back now a little bit to, in your life and your story, to what helped create this.
Okay, so I was raised in Wales, and I'm a Welsh girl.
I didn't know that.
Oh, there you go. I'm a Welsh girl, and I come from beautiful parents. They were beautiful. However, we had dysfunction in the home. So we have alcoholism, partying, and we have violence. So I was a child that was raised in an environment where violence was normal, both sides.
Mhm.
And so then I become a young woman, and I end up in a relationship with the love of my life, who turns out to be domestic violence. And because I had it in my childhood, this was normal to me. It was normal for me to accept domestic violence. And there's times I have to put my hand up and say there's times where there was a point where I had enough, and then I became aggressive because I didn't know any difference. So it was like I lash out. And it's learned behavior. I learned it from my childhood. I recreated it. But there was a point where it was now a lot more one-sided to severe domestic violence. And not only that, I'll be honest, you can heal from a bruise. I'll be honest. And if someone's watching this, they might be able to relate. You can heal from a bruise, but when it becomes emotional and mental abuse and domestic violence, that's really hard to heal from. Really hard, because you just think you're unlovable. You must be so... I honestly thought he didn't like me. I thought I must be such a bad person that he just doesn't want to love me, or doesn't want to emotionally connect or mentally connect. And so for me, there was the physical violence, but it was the emotional and mental abuse that actually destroyed my soul. It was really destroying. So I walked through that for many, many years. There was a couple of domestic DVOs put on him in the earlier stages, and that settled. And then it went from the physical to then the emotional and mental, which was, in my case, worse, because it actually destroyed my entire identity. I didn't know I had no idea who I was. And
sorry, can I just ask in there? Because I think this is a really important point. You said it destroyed your identity and you didn't know who you were. Can you explain that a bit further?
So when you have a voice that's against... So I used to call him the hammer, because if I would become my true, authentic self, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't what he wanted. So it was every time I sort of shone, or I tried to be real, or my true, authentic self, it was not accepted. So I then had to adjust the way that I spoke, the way that I acted, the way that I presented myself to the world, in order to stop the hammer coming. And I'm not talking about a physical hammer. I'm talking about a mental hammer, that you're not good. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't a good enough mother. I wasn't a good enough worker. It didn't matter what area of the world that I was doing, it wasn't good enough. And so I would just be constantly knocked down. So I became very hidden, if you like. The real me became very hidden, and I presented to the world the version that was accepted by him and that was allowed. And so that's what I mean. So the real me had to shrink, and then this other persona, and it's basically, now I know it's known as survival mode. My survival mode kicked in. So didn't speak back, didn't talk back, didn't share my ideas. It was just, okay, yes, whatever you say, if you think that's a good idea. So I became what's called a people pleaser. And so then I was on constant alert. Okay, is this going to be okay? Am I allowed to do this? What is he going to think? So you're always second guessing. You're always very aware that anything you do might trigger a reaction that's not going to end well for me or my children. So yeah, I became someone different in order to be accepted. That's what it is.
No, that's great. That was a great explanation because I think there's a lot of people deal with that and they often don't even know.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, yeah, so that obviously, and when you're in that place, often you don't know. So what did you do? Because obviously that became your life.
Yes.
And
yeah.
that became your norm.
Yeah.
So what happens then when you're starting to live with that and it becomes your norm? How do you function? Obviously become a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
But then obviously it can only go so far until something breaks.
Yes. And that breakage. Okay, when you're suppressing lots and lots of emotions and the real you, other things start to break in life. Now, there's something called the mind-body connection. So for me, I had a physical. It came out physically. So I couldn't talk about it. I couldn't tell anybody. Members of the family were aware of it, but a lot of it's behind closed doors, you know. Yeah, no one really sees it. And if you're with someone who's got a really amazing, charismatic character, no one would believe you. They're like, no, he's amazing. Like, no, he'd never be like that. And then as soon as that door's shut and you're like, here we go. So for my personal journey was that it was building up. It was, we had 4 children in 4 years. So now I'm now not just not protecting myself. I'm protecting 4 children as well. And it's settled, but it's still present in a different form. And so one morning I woke up and from the neck down, I was completely paralyzed. Yep. And so my hands were all over like this. I'd look like this and my knees wouldn't move, my feet wouldn't move. And I was just stuck. And I remember crying out, call my mum. That's the first thing I could, remember. And so they got my mum on the phone. I said, Mum, I can't move. I'm stuck. And anyway, she just said, call the ambulance immediately. And as a result, I had 2 big clots on the inside of my thighs. So they rushed me to hospital. And long story short, I had rheumatoid arthritic symptoms. And they did a whole heap of tests on me. And they said, look, we don't know exactly what it is, but there is something majorly wrong. It looks like you've got some incurable disease called sarcoid, which is an autoimmune disease. Now, you will find, if you look at the stats, most men or women, and particularly in women who have gone through any form of abuse as a child and is now in abuse, she will develop an autoimmune disease. So this is science. It actually is a fact. So for me, my unprocessed trauma was now coming out in my body because I wasn't doing the work to. So what you'll find is people who are really unwell physically, usually in most cases, it's a mind-body connection, meaning the trauma that they've experienced is not being processed. So the emotions are not coming out. So they find their way out through sickness and illness. It's an actual fact.
So let me ask you a question on that. If someone has got a strange sickness that's happening to them, which they can't work out what it is exactly, trauma happened earlier on in their life.
Yeah.
And because as we know, sometimes people just completely block it out.
Yes. Yeah.
Or it can be there and they try to pretend we've just moved on now.
Yeah.
Is that what could be happening?
Yeah. In most cases, there is something connected because the mind forgets, but the body remembers. There's some amazing teachers around at the moment. One guy, Gabor Mate, he's a Jewish guy, brilliant teacher. Brilliant. Explains this really well, and I've done quite a bit of research myself to understand it. But the mind basically goes, okay, it's over. It happened, 10 years ago, 20, 30 years ago. I'll just lock it away and I'll forget about it. But because of the nervous system, and the nervous system is the communication center of the entire body, it has memory. So the memory gets stuck or sits in the body. And if it's undealt with, it manifests itself as sickness, all sorts of ailments. Very much studies are showing autoimmune diseases are very highly related to unresolved and unhealed trauma because they just manifest themselves in the body and you get sick. Yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it, how it works, how we're created.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So then you wake up with this.
Yep.
They take you to hospital.
Yep.
What happens then?
So they immediately put me on steroids and just said, look, you're going to have to change your life. And I had 4 little kids, I think under 6 at that time, and obviously not the best marriage. And that is when, so this was way back in probably 2005, 6, 7, like, you know, a long time ago. So the kids were all very little. And they said, it wasn't very hopeful. They said, you've got this disease, you will have this for the rest of your life. And it's basically incurable. That was my, okay, see you later. Change your lifestyle and see you later. And so I walked out of there absolutely devastated, I mean, we didn't have the information available now where I could have just go to, you know, and find out what's going on with me. It was just I walked away thinking, oh my gosh, I've got 4 little kids under 6 or 5 or 6. I can't be sick. I can't be unwell. They need me. And I tell you what I did. I cried out to a God that I really didn't know, but I actually was like a SOS call. I had been raised as a Christian child through my childhood, gone away, explored a ton of other different modalities. And then when I cried out to the God that I remembered as a child. And I said, if you're real, I need you to heal me. And sure enough, I went to church. I went to a Pentecostal church, and I thought I'd walked into a rock concert. Because I was Church of England, you see, back in Wales. And so I remember hearing and knowing that God was in that room. And I know that he healed me. It wasn't immediate. It wasn't like I went to the altar and everything got, but I just kept coming back. I just kept getting back into the atmosphere, and but I cried and I cried. I cannot tell you the tears. I didn't know where the tears were coming from, but it was all the unprocessed pain that I was carrying that was making me sick, and it was God's love was ministering because I needed love. I was void of love in my marriage. There was nothing. I wasn't getting any nurturing from anywhere, so I was empty. And then the tears just flowed and flowed. And 2 years, those tears just flowed and flowed. And that's when I become well again. And I think I went back to the doctors about 2.5 years later to get my bloods checked. Guess what? Not one sign of the disease in my system.
Really?
Gone. Yep. Yeah, but I did change. I used wisdom. I changed my life. I changed my diet. I changed my sleeping habits. Did you know what I did? I started to do work on myself. I started down the road of doing self-discovery, like what's going on with my mind. And I did a counseling course because I thought in the relationship, I was the problem. I needed to sort myself out. So that I did. But it was the biggest blessing that could have ever happened from that story.
And I love how you put that, because as a Christian, you can say, God, heal me, and hope it's all done.
Yes.
But we're a tripart being.
That's right.
And every part of us needs to be healed and fixed. And we have a great responsibility ourselves to make a big difference.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
That's right. That's right.
My daughter's a PT.
Yeah.
And one of the things I can relate to this is she works with a lot of women, in particular around mindset, but weight loss and that sort of thing. And one of the biggest things she tells them is you don't have to have everything perfect, but you do need to work on yourself in the different areas. Because if you just work on one thing, you can go to the gym and not eat well. It's not going to do much for you.
That's right.
Or you can eat well and not go to the gym. It's still not going to do much for you. It's a whole well-rounded thing.
That's right. That's
right. Really, and it does take time.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you should say that, because one of the frameworks that I use when I work with people now, I call it the 4-dimensional healing, because it's 4-dimensional. So it's God, the spirit, work on that. Then we've got the mind, you work on the mind. Then we work on the body, and then we work on your life or your environment. And so each 4 layers of that, it's like a quadrant, each has to be worked on. You can't just work on the mind, you have to work on the body. You can't just work on the body, you have to work on the spirit, because each come together to bring you into wholeness and the fullness of your identity. So,
that's that right there. We could stop, and that's That's what you do. That's how you do it.
That's it, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, in a nutshell, which is fantastic. But obviously, it goes much deeper than that.
Yeah.
So take us back, because it's one thing to go, okay, I need to change my mind, and then, I got out of there and it was fine. Getting out is a completely different story. And this is one of the big things that it's not an easy process at all. Any of this is not easy, which is why a lot of people won't face it and won't make the decisions every day. And you can't blame them, because it's really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
So what did it take you to actually make that incredibly brave decision to do that? And how many times did it take? Or was it because you had this illness, you knew, I got to do something?
Well, you'd think that would be the case. No. I got well, but I continued to persevere. I am an ultimate optimist. And I had massive faith that things would change. He would change. We would change. And we would, make it. Unfortunately, when you're in that situation, it takes, in a marriage, it takes two to change. And so what was happening, I was doing the courses now, and I was learning so much about myself and about, what was happening, the dynamics between the two of us. And when I moved in towards counseling and psychotherapy, I started to say, hang on a minute, we've got some issues, my own childhood issues, but over here there's your childhood issues. And it was not well received, let's just say that. It's my fault. It was always, no, it's your fault. You're this, and lots of swear words. No, it's you, it's me. So I just thought, okay, and being a woman of faith, I just believed that everything would work out. Everything would be fine, because that's all I had. There was no evidence at all to suggest that he wanted to change or he wanted to save the marriage. All the thing I had was my faith and my belief that no matter what, God would take care of us and everything would be okay. And so... yeah, during that time, sorry, it makes me, going back there is a bit...
No, that's... no.
When you don't talk about these things, it's... I can feel my brain going a little bit blank because I'm talking about it, because I don't verbalize it much. But yeah, it's a little bit tough. So you have to just give me a minute.
No, take your time.
Yeah.
It's very tough.
It is. It sort of dredges it up a little bit. But yeah, trying to leave was hard. Because I had two minds in my own. I was double-minded myself. One, I knew that it was toxic, and now, guess what I'm doing? I'm raising my children in a toxic environment. I'm just repeating the cycle. But then the other side of me is the faith, the woman of faith that says everything's going to be okay. And so I'm torn. I'm torn between these two, get out, get out, get out, stay, stay, stay. And well-meaning people, and I see it all the time now, well-meaning people fight for your marriage, fight for your marriage. And so I fought and I hung in there. And if I was to speak to my former self, knowing what I know now, with the evidence that I had at that time, that the other party was in no way wanting to change or do anything, I would have said, get out. That's the honest truth. And because at the safety, because I then stayed and witnessed the abuse not only come for me, but it then came for my children. And that's a whole different ballgame when you see the abuse starting to come into your children. That is what woke me up. And it was no longer... everything's going to be okay. Everything's not going to... It was almost like a reality check. Unfortunately, it took it to those levels that now my children have been hurt, that it was like, I'm getting out. That was the breaking point. But even then, it's still not easy because there's all the other, where do I go? I had 4 children at that time, at about under 12, 4 children under 12. And, I had great parents, like my parents were good, but still, I still had to, it was still very tough. But about 7 times I attempted it until the very end. Yeah, to actually do it, yeah, took me about 7 times.
And I just want to add in here that people that are going through that, it's very easy to feel guilty yourself or get down on yourself because why can't I do this?
Yeah.
Why am I putting my kids through this? No reason for guilt at all. Because, like you said, making that decision is ridiculously hard. And there's so many other factors to think about that come in it as well. So we cannot put ourselves down or feel guilty about the decisions we make. But like you said, get the environment we're around, and getting the right people around you helps to be able to get in the right place.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and there was, towards the end, it became so extreme. The behaviors became so extreme of the kid's dad, because little did I know, well, at the time I recognized this looks like mental health. This looks like bipolar, like it looks like bipolar. I had suggested that he'd get help. No. For years, no. And so me hanging in there that last little bit, which I should definitely not have done, I witnessed severe psychosis, some really terrible things had happened. I mean, I don't know if you want me to tell you, but the worst of the worst stuff happened. And so, and there has been a recent diagnosis that, yes, there's bipolar. There was also drugs involved, a hidden life involved. There was other women involved. So when it all cracked open, everything cracked open, and it was, okay, we're out and we're done. And luckily I had, my parents were good, and they helped during that time. But then we had then when something severe starts happening, families get involved, your family gets involved, they're also going through the trauma as well. And so everybody's emotions are heightened. There's no one's regulating their emotions very well. There are things that are being said and done. And the next minute I had was a complete family breakup. Everybody was hurt. Everybody was upset. And now I'm come out of one unsafe environment, and now I find myself in another unsafe environment. And so that was another tough journey that I had to walk through with me and my kids.
So when you said you come out, if you're happy to go here, come out of one unsafe environment into another, what was the second one?
The extended family. So being around extended family who are very traumatized themselves.
Yes, right.
And so we then have lots of, let's say, controlling mechanisms happening. I mean, I know I'm brokenhearted, but I'm not incompetent.
Yeah.
And people were now controlling me and what I was doing, where I was going, where I was working, and now I'm being controlled from a different angle. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just need to breathe, and I just need to heal, and I just need to I needed kindness, and I didn't need more attack. And I think at that time that I was under constant attack from choices that I was making or things that I was doing, which were okay, but I just needed kindness. The word that I needed, when I take myself back, it was like I just needed love and kindness and gentleness and softness. I just needed that. I didn't need attacking my personality or my decisions. I just didn't need that. I needed love.
What would that love have looked like for you at that time?
Gentleness. Be gentle with me.
In speech, in
tone, yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't take, tone was a big thing because obviously from the environment I'd just come out of, if you had a harsh tone, I would think I'm in trouble. I've done something wrong. So I was very, very sensitive, hypervigilant, hyper-aware, which is a survival mechanism. And so in order to keep me in a calm state, I needed very gentle, kind, loving words and not harsh words. And I didn't receive, well, oh, you should do this, because I was constantly being told, oh, you should do this. You know, you're not good enough. You haven't done this well. So I needed, don't tell me, just guide me, suggest. You know, there was just a different way that I was receiving communication. I just needed gentle and soft, and I needed to be kept calm because my nervous system was so heightened. It was like I was on the verge of an anxiety attack 24/7. 24/7. I'm ready, waiting for like an anxiety, like couldn't breathe properly, couldn't speak properly yet. You know, I couldn't even, like my brain couldn't even string a sentence together. So if you said a sentence to me, I'd have to say, can you say it a few times? Because I couldn't cognitively process what you were trying to say to me, because my brain was that full of cortisol and my body was that full of like fear and anxiety. It was like I was a nervous wreck, to say the least. Yeah.
So for people watching or listening, if that's you, you're not alone.
No.
Not alone. It is unfortunately common, especially in these sorts of scenarios.
Yeah. Yep.
The words and the tone. What about people's actions? What would have helped action-wise? Doing things for you, taking somewhere, just leaving you till you were ready. What would have been a good thing for you?
I had just including me.
Right.
Feeling like I was loved and I belonged. And I must admit, I had some amazing friends up on the Sunshine. So this all happened to the Sunshine Coast. I had some amazing friends that helped me. And yeah, they just They just loved me through action. And and words of encouragement. I had 2 or 3 really close friends that they were my rocks during that time. They would ring me daily, pray with me daily. So I had at that time very strong people that would just support me. And then on the other side, I had, not so great things happening but yeah, my friends who knew the depths of everything that had been happening, they really loved me and supported me. One friend, she would get me up and go biking. She'd make me, well, there was a couple. I had a friend that make me go and do exercise. I had another friend who'd come and get me up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I look back at those photos and I am so drawn, and you look and you can see the trauma on my body. And, but they would make me do exercise. They would make me, and then I would have another friend and she would ring me and we would pray every day. So those became my rocks, just getting me out of the house, making sure I had food because I wouldn't eat. So they would make sure I was fed, to come and have lunch or come and, just little things like that, which are normal to everyday people. But if you're going through a crisis, that's like gold. That just makes you feel loved and cared for. And it's a game changer.
That's so important to know, because often when you see people going through big things, you don't know what to do.
You don't know what to do or say. Yeah. And that's it. And you don't actually need people to say anything. You just need to be included in, and little things. Come for a walk with me. Let me pray with you. Would you like to go out for lunch? And just little things like, okay, yeah. I remember my friend just said, okay, I'm taking you. And she put me in a magnesium pool. She bought me a gift voucher and she came with me and we did it together. And I lay in a magnesium pool for 1 hour. And that was incredible. I could never have afforded to pay for myself. She blessed me with it. But the difference that made, because my body was so stripped of any nutrients because of my trauma, that I actually remember coming out of that and going, oh, wow, I actually can think clearly, because magnesium is very good for the mind. It helps you think clearer. And it actually worked. And I was like, well, that's so guess what I do with my clients now? Guess where they're sent to? They do hot therapy, magnesium. So all these little things that I learned how to rebuild is now what I do with others, and it works. So
That's awesome.
nothing was wasted.
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
No.
I want to ask, because obviously as kids go through things,
Yeah.
it affects them.
Yes.
What have you done to help your kids with this now? Because it's a big, big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. At the time when we went through several incidents, and I had some counselling qualifications, so started to learn about it all. I knew that this trauma was going to come out at some point. I just didn't know when or how. And one of the things, and my girls will tell you this, one of the things that I chose as a parent, because now I'm a single parent, I'm now navigating 4 teenage girls. Now that in itself nearly put me in a mental institute. Okay. But now we've got 4 wild girls who have not had, they don't have a father figure around because he chose to leave them. So he left and he moved away. And so now I'm managing these girls. But I knew that communication, I had to be as honest and as vulnerable as possible with them so that I didn't pretend anymore. And this is what Mum's been through. I just have to put the oxygen mask on myself. Once I've done that and I'm right and I'm strong, I'm going to be able to help you. And that's what I did. And so I suppose I've got the skills and the tools in order to have really good conversations with them. So I do a technique called cognitive processing therapy, which is used for people with PTSD and CPTSD. And so the girls and I, either as a group, we'll do like a group session where we air all of our issues out. There's nothing that I don't know, unfortunately. I would rather not know, but I just created that environment where everybody has to be honest and we all share. And we all share in love. And so that has been the saving grace of my children because they've been able to tell me what they're feeling, what's going on, what they're doing. And we've been able to talk about it and process it together. Have my kids been angels? Absolutely not. Each one of them, it has affected them differently. In one, it manifested. It will always manifest itself. So with one of my children, it manifested with being promiscuous. The other one has daddy issues. The other one has chosen an LGBT lifestyle, and then the youngest one, she's pretty good. To this day, she's like a little powerhouse. So she's my miracle one. But each one of my children, it's affected differently, and we've walked through it together. We've walked through their pain together, and they've been able to process it, and they're all sort of coming out of it now.
That's fantastic what you've done, and to actually be able to be in that place to think through what to do. And I know you've had a lot of training, but still you're going through stuff yourself.
Yeah.
To be able to sit there and do that with your girls and be so open and vulnerable, and for them to trust you enough to do the same thing with you is huge.
Yeah. I don't, everybody's got a different parenting style, but mine was, I have to survive. I'm doing this. I'm now raising 4 daughters on my own. I don't want to be their best friend because I still have to, there's still tough love. But I think the biggest key was communication. You can tell me anything and I will love you. And I might not accept the behavior, but I love you. Yeah. And they always known, it doesn't matter what they've done, they are loved. And as a result, the truth comes of things that they had been doing. And, there's still areas that need lots of improvement, but on all of us, but we're growing together.
Every one of us, really. Let's be honest.
That's right. Exactly. It's never perfect, but how I chose to parent has worked for us as a family, me and my 5 girls, and they're like my best friends. Truly, they are miracles. How they have turned out. Like my oldest daughter's doing a university degree to become a social worker. She's been a youth worker, and they've all turned up successful.
Yeah.
They're all mentally and emotionally and physically well. That's all I could ask for. And they don't have any resentment towards their dad. There's all the forgiveness has happened. Everybody's forgiven.
That's amazing.
It doesn't mean to say what was done was right.
No,
but
not at all.
We've chosen to forgive.
Forgiveness.
So we are released from the pain and the resentment. We're set free. And so the girls are set free.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think if you can get to a point where your kids can become your friends,
Yeah.
it doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No.
It really
Yeah,
doesn't.
that's
And
it.
the fact that, like, even with your oldest going out now, she's taken everything.
Yeah.
She's going out deliberately to work out, how can I help other people?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's an important message, that as well.
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to ask, because it's so easy. Well, you tell me, how hard is it, or how important is it for people to understand that, okay, you come out of a DV situation, you got to get your life together. That's probably what, 5% of the
Possibly.
whole journey
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
is actually making that incredibly brave decision
Yeah.
to do that. But there's all the other life things, like you've just explained, to go with it. How important is it for people to understand that, and what's the best way that they can help other friends going through this?
I think knowing that it's important, I think getting the oxygen mask get on yourself first. We, as mums, we feel really guilty, and we think we need to just fix everything, everything, at once. But I think it's important I tell people to take a pause and get yourself well, the mum or the dad. Get yourself well. Once you can get well, once you're well, then you can focus on your children. And, yes, that decision to break free is a tough one. But the next stage is get well, really get well. Get well as a dad, or get well as a mum, and then focus on your children. Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, and for other friends that you have around you as well, like, how important is it for them to understand what you're going through and to be able to support you in the right way?
That's really interesting, because what I witness myself and I witness now with others is when a separation happens between a husband and wife, the friends freak out. The friendship groups that are around them feel very torn. They don't know who, it's he said, she said, da 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 da. No one really knows what goes on behind a closed door. So it's very hard for the friends to know who's telling the truth. And then one party wants to drag them this side, and then the other party wants to drag them the other side. And so the friends just freak out and go, oh my gosh, I can't do this. They get pulled into the drama, they get pulled into the domestic, and then so what happens then? A lot of friends withdraw. And so the friends withdraw that can't cope or just don't know what to do. But then there is a very small circle of friends that do stay and that do support. And those are the friends that will turn up for you and take you to a spa, or they'll turn up and say, come on, we're going to go and play golf, or we're going to go to the gym. Those are the friends that will just stay, that will be not pulled into the emotions of what's happening between them. They will just be that stable friend. And so if I was to talk to the friends, I would say, you don't have to choose sides, because once the war, the first 12 months of initial breakup is like a war zone between the two, because they both think they're right. And look, there's, regardless of whether there's domestic violence involved, it's still messy. A separation is very messy. So I would say, take everything that is spoken as a pinch of salt and just be stable for that friend, whether it's you friends with the guy or for the girl. Just be that friend that you're not talking about the drama. You're not talking about what she said or what he said. You're just doing something together that gets their mind off it. A walk, or take them for dinner, or go and watch a show, or go to a movie. Just little things like that, so that they break, so it gives that person a break out of that war zone that they're currently in, and that you don't get pulled into it. You've got to have a lot of wisdom not to get pulled into the emotions of what's happening between the couple that have broken up.
That's fantastic. I love that. I love that. I remember being told, having friends around me,
Yeah.
and they're always there to be empathetic and hear, but at the same time, they're ready to slap me around the face if I needed it. And it was the best thing that happened.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it. And so what you just said then, it's
real.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I want to ask you one question before we move on to a little bit more current things.
Oh, yeah.
With all of the scenarios from home, marriage, leaving, kids, what would you say would have been the hardest aspect personally?
The effect on my children.
Okay.
So, in the midst of all the carnage, the kid's dad, so we had separated, but the kid's dad decided to leave our Sunshine Coast area and move to Canberra, and told the kids that he was going to work for 2 weeks and that he would come back. And he never came back. And so I was left with the children to then explain to them why dad wasn't coming back. That, the pain of that, there's nothing like the pain of what that would, I knew what that was going to do to my kids. The abandonment that they would have experienced, and just, yeah. And I was the one that was going to have to be the messenger. That nearly killed me. The pain of what I knew it was going to do to them. And so, yeah, that was the hardest. The relationship breakup, all of that. Yep. But the one thing that I would say felt like it shattered my entire soul was what this was actually going to do to the children. That took me a long time to recover from that, and I have, but it doesn't mean to say I don't remember that pain. I actually,
absolutely, you never forget that sort of thing when it's to do with your kids like that.
Yeah, because he drove away on the highway, and he rang me from the highway, and he said, "Yep, I'm going, and I'm not going to come back." And I remember I collapsed. I just hit the floor. And the pain that he left his daughters. I couldn't to leave the family, one thing, but to leave his 4 little girls. I couldn't wrap my head around that. I couldn't fathom why a dad would leave his children, his 4 little girls, vulnerable, unprotected, just left. I just couldn't. But with saying that, I now know it was the mental illness. It doesn't mean to say the pain's not there. It wasn't there. So, but that was the toughest point of my life. That everything after that, I was able to recover. That was a tough one.
It's interesting listening to your story through. And each time when we go into sections, the kids has been the biggest thing for you.
Yeah. I love my kids. I adore them.
When you're working with other people, is it similar?
I love them too. I love kids. And I do a lot of, sorry, because now you've touched my heart. So I work with kids who don't have parents. So I work with, when I say kids, they're not kids. They're kids to me, but they're in their 20s. They're sort of 14 through to, I work with all. I work with men. I work with women, but I work with kids. And my greatest success is when I get a young man who's out of rehab, and he was 43 kilos, and ice addiction. And when he came to me, once I'd found out, I'd done the work with him, it was because he had an absent mother. He was not emotionally bonded to his mum. And so I knew that I was modeling to him what a healthy woman is, which helped him on, it was just a tiny part of it, but I knew that I could help him restore the bit that was missing inside of him, help him find that, fill that with love so that he knew that he was loved. He did, because when I started working with him, all he kept saying to me was, you're going to leave me, you're going to leave me, you're going to leave me. Working with him because he was so used to so many, people were leaving him. He lost his case worker, his social worker, his, all. But I said, I will, and I promised, and it was a tough gig. It was, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that, but he was severe complex mental health. And, there was a point there where he threatened to kill me, but I knew that if I left him, I would fulfill the very thing that he was afraid of, and I had to stay. I remember praying. I said, God, I just can't do this. And I just thought, what would Jesus do? And then he would just write it out. And I knew that I would be safe. But that young man now, he's in university. He got a business. He's living his best life ever.
Wow.
He's like 78 kilos more. It could be more. He goes to the gym. He's studying finance. I know. But it was because I chose to put the work in for him and make sure that he got what he needed to live his best life. So that's what I do. But it's the children, it's kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just the impact that has. And it's not just the impact on his life, but if he's not already, he's probably going to get married and have kids.
Yeah.
And what's he going to be telling everybody else around him as well?
Yeah, that's it.
That's phenomenal. I love those stories. Love those stories.
Yeah.
So more on what you're doing now. Like you told us a little bit about the book, the first book, but put you on in the middle of Times Square. You're a superstar.
Tell about that.
Well, as Hailey Bieber.
Yeah, well, that's right. I'm right up.
Well, normally next to her is Justin Bieber, so you've kicked him out and taken his place.
That's right.
So you're now above Justin Bieber, I reckon.
That's funny.
So tell us more about what you're doing, because you've got another book you're working on at the moment, which is so cool. Tell us about that one.
Okay, so I wrote The Rebuilt Woman, and that's my lived experience that has the clinical, why we stay, why do we do the things we do, why do we put up with the abuse, etc. And my entire sort of spiritual journey. And that obviously became a #1 bestseller, and it's won awards, all sorts of amazing things. But I felt that it's obviously a woman's story about how to rebuild your life after domestic violence and abuse. And so part of my research is recognizing men. For me, my philosophy is there's no point healing a ton of women if we don't go, hey, what do the men need? What's missing for the men? We need healthy mums and we need healthy dads, which will create healthy environments and raise healthy children. But if we're just working on all the mums and the mums and the women are, getting tools, it's one-sided, I needed to have a look, well, what's happening for the men? What's going on? And when I started researching and having a look, yes, 1 in 14 men, and that's probably not a correct stat, 1 in 14 men have domestic violence.
1 in 14?
1 in 14. So 1 in 4 women, 1 in 14 men. Now that's what we know. Can you imagine how many men don't even talk about it?
Yeah.
But, the men don't talk. This is the problem.
Yeah.
And so then I started researching suicide, and, there's 40 men a day committing suicide from all over the globe. So I'm like, we've got a problem. We've got a problem with men. What is happening that there's no hope, and they want to end their life. And so I just thought to myself, it was really my own question. So, well, what is a rebuilt man? What does it mean to be a rebuilt man? And what is missing, because there's something missing clearly, because the problem is we've got high suicide rates in men. What is missing for a man to heal and rebuild? And I thought, well, I'm not a guy. I don't know these answers, and I need to find a ton of guys that can give me the answer. And I want to have a look at men that have rebuilt their lives out of adversity, but also men that are in the middle of the journey or starting the journey, and tell me what you think. Tell me. So I just put a call out for men to come forward to answer me these questions so I could start to study the responses and then collate it, compile it all. And so I put a call out, and then 30, 40, 50 men, there's 70 men have come forward now in the last couple of months and shared with me what those three questions. So what is a rebuilt man? What does it mean to be a rebuilt man? And then what's missing? And it was the question 3, what is missing, that absolutely blew me away. I've learned so much whilst writing this book or bringing it together. I've learned so much about men. Every woman needs to read this book. Every man needs to read this book, because it's modeling what rebuild is. So if you've rebuilt, men have just written the book themselves. You know, they've given me an abundance of insight, and so I've just collated it all. Well, I'm in the middle of, and so yeah, it's. I just recently went to New Zealand for a week to lock myself away, and to start to bring it all together. And the first day, I started going through all the answers of whatever all the guys are saying, and I cried and I cried, and it touched me so much that there is a real cry in the men's heart to have safe places. So the biggest thing that's come from my research is men are crying out for safe places to be able to talk about what they've been going through. They don't feel safe to talk about it, because obviously they might feel like they're being judged, or men, they won't, they will minimize it. So yeah, and I was just like, okay, all right, we've got some keys here. This book is going to give some keys of how we can help, what's missing, and how we can help men to rebuild and be well. So yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed the experience. I can't wait to get it published.
That's really interesting. So that's the biggest thing men are wanting, is a safe place to talk.
Yep.
When you say safe place, does it need to be a group? Does it just be somebody who will listen without judgment?
Yes. I think camaraderie with men, there was a lot of missing, having mates. I think by the sounds of it, and this is my assumption from the information, is maybe men get kind of married, then they go get divorced, and then they've lost their male companions.
Yeah.
So they find themselves out of a community of men, not knowing where to go, who to talk to, and then they find themselves lost. They've lost a sense of belonging to a community, because their family was their community. So I'm thinking, now this is my thoughts. So that could be, a mate, yes, but I'm a big believer. There's a couple of different types of friends that you've got your comrades that you go hang out with and have fun with. You've got your confidants, and those are the ones you tell, or you've got companions. You might not necessarily tell your comrades your deepest, because they'll be like, "Oh, she be right, mate. Yeah. You be right. Come on, let's go to play golf or something." Or your companion might be a guy that you just like kind of hang out with, but you don't share. So it's finding that confidant friend, and maybe that's what's missing. There isn't that confidential friend that they feel vulnerable enough to share with, and for the information not to be minimized or swept away. Or I'm not sure. I'm still reaching. Yeah. I'm still researching, but had some amazing stories. I've got an ex-Olympian, ex-NRL guy. I've got a guy that became a counselor as a result of what he had gone through, and then and some other amazing men that have given me their stories.
That's awesome. Are you still looking for more?
Yes. Yeah. I'm at 70 or 60, I think 67. So I need another just another 30 guys. So if you're listening to this,
Yeah, absolutely.
I want you
Absolutely.
I want your story. I want you to answer my questions, 3 questions.
And do they need to give their details, their name?
It can be anonymous, or you can put your name forward. It's fine.
Okay.
I want the insights.
You just want the story, what's going on in their mind and their emotions and things.
That's right. What are they thinking? What are insights? What's their insights? Because then it's men have written the book. I've just brought it all together.
That's a phenomenal idea to do that. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Dawn, thank you so much for coming in. This has been an incredible, incredible show, and I think you've given us some real good ideas on what and how to help people and deal with situations and what's important. Because some of the things you talked about, when we deal with or hear about situations like this, we don't think about the aftermath or the kids or what do we need to do physically to actually be there, or to be a friend, how to be a friend, the best way to do that. These are things we never talk about that. So I'm so excited that we actually had to go there, or got to go there and hear from that, from not just lived experience, although that in itself is heavy enough, but the study that you've done, the work that you do with people and the books that you've written, all this sort of stuff all contributes to an incredible amount of great information and help. And I want people to know, doesn't matter where you are, what's happened, there is hope.
Yep.
You can do it.
Yep. 100%. You can.
If people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
So Dawn Williams on all the socials, Dawn Williams author. You can Google me like Dawn Williams author, you'll find me. And rebuiltmovement.com. So rebuiltmovement.com is where the website, and there's a lot of information. So I run retreats, I do workshops, I do one-on-ones. So yeah, if you need help, reach out.
One of the things, I always ask 2 questions at the end of a podcast, which is pretty much a one question.
Okay.
But how to create the life you want and leave a legacy you're proud of?
When I had the little moment on the wall and I said, God, I want to, go, that was inside of me then. It was like I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know that I was going to go back to university. I just knew that I wanted to make a difference and I wanted to help those. It was about helping those who needed me, because I had a real revelation. I was working with people that didn't really need me. They could, I wanted to really help. And then once I'd put that on the inside, I spent a lot of time then thinking about what that actually looks like. And then writing goals at the end of in between Christmas Day, Boxing Day and New Year's Day, I do a 7-day fast, and I've done it ever since I was gone through my pain, like my trauma. I that is my setting aside myself and my time to seek God and say, God, what would you have me do? And out of that 7 days fast, and it's a tough one, right? Because it's Boxing Day and the fridge is full. And I do that at the end of every year in order for me to hear what God is saying for the following year. And out of that, I write all my goals. So I write my goals. I write everything that I feel is the direction that I'm going. And then I just apply faith to it and just go,
That's
okay.
Awesome. I love that.
And sometimes they're really big, I must admit though, New York was not on there. that come out of the blue, but just the desire to make a difference. I never ever consciously thought about leaving a legacy. That has come as a result of being obedient in the very little. Just do this step. So I did step 1, and then all of it, so for example, step 1 was, I talk about the 5 signs that directed my life, and one of the signs was the psychologist. If I hadn't have had that meeting with her, I would never have sent the book again. And then I had a choice with New York. Well, do I go or don't I go? Because this is big. And I thought, I go. So I go to New York. And then from that step, then I got I met some amazing people. They nominated me for a global award. I go, okay. Then I get invited to go to Paris. Okay. That step. So I don't think consciously I was like, I'm going to leave a legacy. I just followed each step when it came, because if God or anyone had said to me, oh my gosh, you're going to be on this and this is going to happen, I would have said no. I would have run for the hills. I would have said no, that's too much, that's too big. But it's been given in small steps.
Yes.
And then out of that small, faithful steps, big things have started to form. And they're just about to get bigger by the looks of it.
And that's exactly the thing. It doesn't have to be big.
No.
You just take the step and take
Yeah.
one step and one step
Yeah.
and work out how do you want to help people?
Yeah.
How do you want to make the world a better place?
Yeah.
What is it you want to do?
Yeah.
And just start going after that, and then things start coming after you.
Yes.
Which is what happened. And
Yeah.
the legacy automatically happens.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have to focus on that.
Yeah.
It happens because of what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd like to take also that process in healing too. Take one step. So, so you might not be thinking legacy and, big stuff. You might be thinking, well, I just got to wake up in the morning and so
Exactly.
it's the same principle. Just wake up, set yourself one goal for that day. I used to have a routine. I wrote a route because I couldn't think properly. I had a routine and it would say 10 minutes of exercise, 10 minutes of this, 10. I just used to do 10-minute blocks. And that was because someone said, how did you survive? How did you heal? And I said, I had routine. Routine saved my life because when I'd wake up in the morning all kerfuffled and confused and I don't know who I was, where I was. I'd just go, okay, just look at drink a smoothie, have a smoothie, take your vitamins. So I would have a list. And every time I got lost in my day, I'd go back to my list and go, okay, where am I at? And it kept me on track. So that same principle now I'm using that same, my list. If I get lost, I just go back to my list. Okay, what are the things that I have to do in order? And as a result, this has been birthed out of that.
I love that. And it's almost like writing down the obvious, because when you are in that state, in that space, for the head to actually work properly takes quite a bit sometimes, and sometimes it just doesn't, which is incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
So you're almost writing down the obvious so you can go back and do it.
Yeah, when you get lost, because you'll get lost in your day, lost in emotions, lost in a situation. It's like, okay, where am I going? What am I doing? Okay, I go back. It anchors you. It anchors you back. Okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm safe. Okay, we just do this. And so, yeah.
I love that. That is so good. And I remembered my other question.
Good.
People to get a hold of your books. What's the best way to do that?
Well, they can go to the website, the Rebuilt Movement website. They're available there. I am on Amazon as well. I think I'm in a ton of other places, but I can't really remember.
No, that's perfect.
But those two are the ones that you can go to. And so that's the Rebuilt Woman. I'm launching the Rebuilt Man in November, hopefully on International Men's Day. We hope to run an event here on the Gold Coast, and I'll be launching the book then, and we'll get all the people that have contributed will come together and we'll celebrate men.
Perfect. Yeah, fantastic. Dawn, this has been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for coming in. And I know you made a massive impact on people. You've had a big impact on me already. I know that.
Oh, thank you.
Really appreciate that. And I think we're going to get you back down the track if you'll come. If you're not too big for us by then. I'd love to get you back because there's a whole bunch more that we can go into and that you've got to offer people. So,
thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dawn.